Okay, the regular Board of Education, School District 2, Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 at 6:30 is now in session. Call to order, roll call, please.
Mrs. Dye?
Here.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Here.
Mr. Laudadio?
Here.
Mrs. Leyva?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Ms. Parthamos? Mr. Stolman?
Here. Okay, pledge of allegiance, we establish the floor. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment. No? Hearing no public comment, celebrations.
Sure. We have one big celebration tonight, and that is that our dance team participated in the Thomas Middle School Dance Invitational. That occurred on Friday, January 19th. Our dancers competed against 8 other schools with their Rihanna-themed prom performance. I'm extremely proud to report to the board that they received second place, which is a first for our Blackhawk dancers. So here's a quick clip of their winning performance.
We have a nice crowd. You're fans.
Blackhawk Middle School dance team, your music is on.
Awesome. Okay, presentations, safety and security update.
Sure. So, as the board knows, one of our biggest priorities in the district and the strategic plan is safety and security. So tonight we just want to update the board on the work that we've been doing. We're very lucky to have Deputy Julie and Officer Banks here with us. And I do want to take a minute to share with the board how incredible that they have been through this process. It has been a true partnership with the Bensenville Police Department and the school district. When I first started, Deputy Dooley shared with me that we were one of the only municipalities here in Bensenville that hadn't completed ALICE training. And so we worked really closely together to start developing plans to bring the district, up within the safety compliance for our schools. And Deputy Dooley and Officer Banks have attended every safety conference and every safety meeting with Dustin and I. And it's been an incredible partnership, and I just want the board to know how extremely lucky we are to have both of them to work with for the safety and security of our students. So with that, Dustin is going to go ahead and give us an overview of the work that we've been doing since the beginning of the school year in regards to safety and security.
So first, just thank you for the introduction, and I echo that sentiment. They've really been great partners for us to plan and just to pick each other's brains and really learn how to best support the district and the community. So I'm going to start off with a bit of an overview. School safety is one of the most important issues in education today. Preventing school violence is important for students' physical safety and that of our staff and administrators, and it is a priority for our district. Our safety team, which includes Dr. McCluskey, it includes our principals, Detective Banks, and myself. We've been collaborating with BPD, Chief Deputy Dooley, as well as Doug Halverson, Chief of the Bensenville Fire Department, as well as Don Schultz, who's the Emergency Management Agency Coordinator for the village. We've been working on aligning practices within the district and the community, and ensuring resources for emergency preparedness. As a representative of Bensenville School District, I participate in both the Northern Illinois School Safety Administration Association, as well as the DuPage County Regional Office of Education School Safety Task Force. There, it's through these collaborative efforts that we've been able to work together to implement several best practices to ensure school safety. So our first step was to participate in a school safety audit, which occurred in the summer of 2022. Dr. McCluskey partnered with the ROE and the DuPage Safety Task Force facilitator, John Heiderscheid. We were able to assist in improving our physical and operational security. The goal was for us to improve safety compliance. It was for us to build community competence through leadership commitments. It was for us to be able to increase our sustained capacity towards a community-wide expertise, ultimately in the prevention of school violence. This review of safety and security included a walkthrough of all buildings, discussion with school administrators, front office staff, a review of our current procedures for safety, process, technology, security equipment, and that served as a foundation for our future work. And then you could see some other focus areas that the safety and security audit was geared towards. So what you see here is the standard response protocol. The standard response protocol, or you may hear it as SRP, is a uniformed, planned practice response to any incident regarding safe schools. Implementation of the standard response protocol provides our staff and students with consistent, clear, and shared language for action through all of our safety protocols in the event of an emergency situation. At the beginning of the year's Institute Day, we were fortunate enough, like Dr. McCluskey had mentioned, to have the Bensenville Police Department provide training to all of our staff on the principles of ALICE. ALICE training provides staff with options to maximize their safety and the safety of our students. Specifically, these principles are run, hide, and fight when faced with a significant security threat. Staff began these conversations with students and began to practice these strategies during active shooter drills. During the course of the year, all staff have been provided with SRP, Standard Response Protocol training, so that there is common language and uniform procedures during an emergency situation. So while we've made great strides in bolstering our safety management systems, it's important to make the board and the community aware of the next steps and future plans, and that includes community engagement. Community engagement is an essential component of effective emergency responses. The district is planning for both family communication surrounding our protocols, as well as a parent training on the systems that we are using within the district, as well as helping families recognize their integral role in maintaining school safety. Please be on the lookout for more information regarding an opportunity to learn more and engage in our community response systems. This parent information night is scheduled for Tuesday, April 30th at 6 p.m. and it will be located at the Blackhawks School Auditorium. Staff will also participate in ongoing training and other professional development opportunities surrounding school safety. One critical aspect of crisis response is an accountable reunification process of students with their parents or guardians in the event of a school crisis or an emergency. We'll be working on training staff on the full reunification process in the coming year. As I mentioned before, school safety is one of the most important issues in education today. Bensenville School District 2 takes the safety of our staff, our students, and our community very seriously. And I appreciate the opportunity to review our current and our planned efforts, and as always, I welcome any questions.
And I think part of the training for the parents is also going to be helping them to understand that they won't know all of the components of a reunification plan until we would need to use it. Because you would not want to tell everybody where you were going to be sending students in the case of an emergency when you had to, take them from a school and put them in another location to be picked up. So part of that training is also educating our parents on what that means, and the steps that we would take to inform them so that they knew the next steps when we, if we ever had to take those. Officer Banks, Deputy Julie, I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything.
Just to the board, know that you're in good hands with Dr. McCluskey and Dustin. I feel much more comfortable now than I did a couple of years ago. We both have children. We trust every day that they're safe in school. It's insane that we have to worry that our kids aren't safe in school anymore. But I can confidently say we're ready to respond if something happens. And we're going to do more and more. We did kind of the crawl, walk, run. We just started talking about it, then we introduced it, then we practiced it, now we'll train on it, and we'll get there where everything's pretty seamless until we do a full-scale exercise. So I'm pretty happy with what we've done, and there's a little bit more to keep doing, but you didn't need to thank us. There's no thank you needed. This is what we're here for, and I thank you for taking it this seriously, and we are here whatever you need going forward.
Well, thank you guys, really appreciate all you do. Well, go ahead, Anita.
So first, thank you. And I do hear about Officer Banks quite often from my daughter. So, good. So thank you for your service. But my question, and just on the top of my head, how are we explaining to our younger children why we do these drills? Why do we, practice these new procedures?
So one of the things that we've done is through our networks has been able to look at talking points for all the different grades that we work with, and pare down the same message but using consistent developmental language. So that includes using resources like the National Psychologists Association about how to talk to students about this. I would say it depends on their developmental level. It also includes, I oversee our special education department. I also consider our students' cognitive abilities and all of that. In part, it becomes natural routine for our students to be cognizant and cautious about who we're letting into schools and what our routines are in schools. So it starts off very young in the general sense of who are your trusted adults? Who are you going to look towards during an emergency situation? And then it progresses to being able to tell students who own a little bit more autonomy throughout the school, going into middle school, about here are the people that are appropriate in school, here are the people that are not appropriate, and what do you do when that happens? One of the advantages that I would say from the standard response protocol is it gives all students and staff the same language and the same visual cues, so they know how to act in an emergency situation. And that can only be practiced. I mean, I know that our officers here can talk a little bit more about response in a crisis situation has to be practiced in order for it to become natural, if it ever becomes natural. But a lot of that has to do with the consistent language of here's the protocol, here should be in our schools, here's who should be in our schools, and here's what to do if this is not someone who should be in our schools.
I have a question. First of all, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. My middle son graduated fencing in 2000. He still talks about Officer Banks. So, the kids really love you.
Good or bad?
Good. Very good. So how often is this practiced with the children? And when it is told to the parents, obviously we'll get the same language so we can practice it or not practice it, but rehearse it at home, correct?
Yeah. So to answer your second question, yes, that's why we want to make sure that families have an opportunity to engage in what that process looks like or what the language looks like. As far as how often we practice it, we are required with the Illinois Drill Act, to practice certain types of drills multiple times per year. And it depends on what type of drill. Where we're at right now is we have the opportunity to practice walking through kids during active shooter drills, so that we're building in that vocabulary and that action-based conversation. As far as increasing the number of active shooter drills that we do, we'll still be in compliance with the minimum number, but we also want to be cognizant of student time and making this a balance between ever present in our kids' mind and being prepared in these emergency situations. This year, we've done 2 where we had opportunities for students to engage in this type of conversation.
And every time we do send a home parent notification, and within that parent notification, there's also supports for families. So if they felt like they needed to talk to their child ahead of time to prepare them, there are those talking points within those documents in both Spanish and English for families, if they wanted to use those at home too.
That was the comment that I was gonna make about when communicating, just a request to kind of be sensitive to the fact that we do have people who their first language isn't English, so just kind of understanding what it is, why we do it, and how to discuss it at home, what reunification is, and so on and so forth, because that could be translated not necessarily literally in different languages. And hoping that we can do a push to make sure that we have more parents come in person, especially to support those that don't have English as their first language. I think that'll be really important, but yeah, thank you guys so
We're
much.
also gonna collaborate with the PTAs across the district to get the word out about the April 30th meeting. Our hope is that we can have a lot more parents than we typically see at this meeting. So we're working with other organizations within the district to try to get that word out.
Yeah. I also encourage if you have the capability to maybe do some sort of training video, like where somebody in the district is speaking to that and there's a translation of that in different languages so that people can refer to it in the future.
Yep. And we'll have simultaneous interpreting at that event too.
Thank you.
Fine, thanks guys. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Moving on, summer school 2024 plan.
Okay. Okay, so we
All
have
yours.
received feedback from the board and from the community last year that oftentimes we focus heavily on our criteria-based summer schools. So students that are in need of summer school are those that are invited. And we heard a lot of feedback from the board and the parents that they wanted not only a criteria-based summer school, but a summer school that all kids could participate in. So Dr. Pianessa is gonna walk us through. This year, we spent the year planning for both, and she's gonna walk us through the launch of our new summer school.
All right, so good evening. We're very excited about the learning opportunities we'll be providing for our BSD2 students this summer. So I'll walk you through each of these. Go ahead. So first, starting with the dates for both the traditional and enrichment summer school, those will be running concurrently. You can see the dates there. It occurs pretty quick after school lets out. We found that that time seems to work well for our families, and it also enables us to have our teachers available. That's been a favorable time, and just a huge shout out to our Bensenville teachers. This type of programming can't run in every district because a lot of teachers have summer plans or want to make the most of that free time. But here in Bensenville, we really do have the teachers that stay on, that want to participate and provide these opportunities for our students. So once again, it will be Monday through Thursday, and an AM session for all students. So as Dr. McCluskey said, we're continuing to offer our traditional summer school. Those students are invited based on being identified as being able to benefit from an academic boost over the summer. And that information was shared just last Friday with parents during parent-teacher conferences. If parents or guardians weren't able to attend, then the teachers followed up with those invites. And once again, it will be offered for our students in grade K through 7. We utilize the DuPage County Regional Office of Education developed curriculum. It's used by other schools throughout the county over the summer. And it's targeted instruction in ELA and math to help really get kids ready for that next grade level when they return in the fall, and to help them extend learning after the summer school program is over. You'll see this year, even in traditional summer school, we're offering an enrichment strand. So kids will have engaging ELA, math, but then they'll also have a fun enrichment activity. So here are some sample schedules of what a student's morning might look like. For example, you could see here a first grader might start their day with Lego Club, where they're building. Some math, language will be integrated into that. Then they would rotate through their math and then their reading. And then an example of 5th grade reading, the enrichment, civics and leadership, where students are learning a variety of skills, some history embedded, and then their math time. So we're really excited about this structure and to be able to offer an enrichment band in that. As Dr. McCluskey already shared, based on community feedback, we heard that, some students that don't qualify for that academic boost, that might not need that additional support, what do we have for those students? What can we offer them? So we've worked with our teachers to develop enrichment offerings. So when those students sign up, they'll be coming in, and each grade level will have 3 different activities that they participate in. So again, here are just some samples, but technology, board games, sports, gardening, cricket creations, publishing, all different activities to keep our kids engaged. Okay, let's say it. It's disguised learning too. It's fun, but we're working in some math, some reading, some social interaction, and some language opportunities. So that will be available as well. And all of the deadlines for both programs are March 8th
just so we can be sure to secure the staff that we need. The Jumpstart Kindergarten will be similar to last year, and that will give students, some who have never gone to preschool, we reach out into the community to help our earliest learners get a feel for what school is like. Just learning about taking turns, being in a line, listening to the teacher, and some of those social interactions so they can start kindergarten with that strong extra start. And truly, it just provides them with that transition skills so they can be ready, some socialization, and building their confidence. So they already know what the school looks like, know what the classroom looks like, the school at large, and they can feel more comfortable as they get started. And one other element I wanted to point out about our traditional summer school, we now have our NWEA MAP data in both ELA and math, and we're able to use that combined with that DuPage ROE content so we can really tailor our instruction and keep kids learning and maximize their time with us. So that's just a quick overview, and happy to answer any questions you might have. I have a question. Is this program separate from the program that Right at School is offering?
Yes,
It
I was
is.
gonna say that Right at School is gonna offer programming to supplement this. So in the morning, if students have some, they're gonna be part of our programming, then they can participate in the afternoon at Right at School.
Okay.
Or if families just want a full day within Right at School, they can do that as well. It is a parent-paid program for Right at School.
Oh, I know. And then secondly, will there be bus service available for this?
For yes.
Okay. And the communications, you said they went out, they're going out?
Correct, those went out first in person, was our first attempt for those that were able to attend conferences.
Uh-huh.
And then those that couldn't, the teachers followed up. And then we've been working with Tim on communications, so everyone's aware of that enrichment opportunity. So
Okay.
families can sign up for that as well.
And how does registry, I'm sorry, were you done?
Yes, I'm done. Maybe I missed the email. I'm done. Go ahead.
Well, so I was gonna go to that, I think I got a text about it, maybe? Maybe not, but I did get some notification about it or some communication, but I didn't see, or maybe I missed the call to action where it's like register here. So what's the registration process? Is this just this is coming and then registration is?
No, Tim, you could speak to how the registration link was shared.
So yesterday evening, we sent the news flash regarding the summer enrichment programs to all of our parents based upon the communication preferences they selected at registration last
Okay.
year. So depending upon what they selected, whether they wanted email, text message, both, mom, dad, both, those sorts of things.
Okay.
Those emails, that message went to those preferences, right? And at the very bottom of that news flash, there's a registration link. Within the news flash, you can click on each program and get more details about kind of what the kids will be doing and learning in each one of those programs.
Okay.
It went to families, we separated it out so that we sent notification letters to families whose children were identified for traditional summer school, and then we sent invitations to the rest of the families for the summer enrichment program, so we didn't have crossover.
Okay, I'll take a look again, and then if I
But-
don't see it,
and-
I'll let you
You
know.
know, we can,
Right, please do.
Yeah, I will.
so we can also double up on those messages too, now that we have the, the email group sorted out, so we can come up with something again next week, just to keep hitting, getting the message out about, hey, register for the summer enrichment program, it's gonna be
Yeah.
something really nice for our families.
Because it's very different than previous years.
Yes.
And so
Squirrel.
I think to ensure that the community knows that it is not only for children who are identified as
Correct.
summer school, I think we need to probably,
We have to get it out there.
communicate
Do
that,
that.
because I think it's a great opportunity.
As of 9 o'clock this morning, we already had like 65 families
That's
who
great.
signed up, so.
It's really good.
But people are taking advantage of it, and I'm excited about it, I wanna get the message out too, so.
Okay,
And the principals are also gonna be putting it in their newsletters,
okay.
so that
At
they
the
have
building.
another avenue to get this information out. So that was the first one, was just a blast to people's emails.
Mhm.
And then they'll start doing some more
And flyers maybe at Word in School too might be a good thing.
We could do that.
Thank you.
Is there like a maximum, is there like a limit?
There is, just based on the staffing and the ratios that we're going to keep. So once it closes out, then we'll do a lottery through everyone that's entered, and we'll inform families after the 8th as far as whether their child will be able to attend.
Okay, so to help you guys alleviate any confusion, you might have to reword the way this is, because the top, it says to register your student for the BSD2 summer enrichment, please complete the online form. Next section says, will your child attend the traditional BSD2 summer school program, yes or no? But then there's nothing about the enrichment. So if I click traditional, what does that mean? Because that's not what we need.
Right, right.
So you're gonna get everybody
Through the
clicking.
email.
It was a text message and it takes you to the website and then you have to scroll
We'll
and
double
click,
check that.
register.
What we're trying to make certain of with that question is if we have families who are being invited to traditional summer school, that they're registering for the correct program. So if we get a registration for a family for summer enrichment for a kid who is invited to summer school, we're gonna reach out to them and try to sort out, here's probably where you should be registering versus summer enrichment.
But there's no, that's what I mean, there's no two, there's one. There's traditional only. There's no registration for
We can try and
enrichment.
reword that some, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, moving on. Board committee reports, announcements, do we have any?
Nope.
Nothing, check that off. Administrative reports, announcements.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking
What do you
me
mean?
another one. Sorry, Jeff.
Mr. Novak, FOIA.
We had 4 FOIAs last month. We responded to all of them.
You get one, Dave. Yeah, everybody saw the FOIAs, any questions on them? Nothing? Buddy benches.
So this is really exciting information for District 2. Our 3rd grade ACELA students at both Tioga and Johnson have been studying how positive interactions can lead to meaningful friendships and safe learning environments. Through their research, they learned about a concept called the buddy bench. We're going to show you a quick video on the buddy bench so that the board is informed on what it is.
Bensenville Elementary kids are learning a valuable life lesson that plays out at recess. When someone's having a hard time fitting in.
How would I feel if I was in that position?
9-year-old Gabrielle Vaughn asked herself that question when she was told about a little girl who was feeling lonely at school. Gabrielle was moved.
If you don't want to feel that way, you need to do something about it.
And she did. Gabrielle heard about the Buddy Bench, a tool that helps bring kids together and feel more included. And last year, this 3rd grader working with teachers got her school a bench of its own.
It's not just a regular old bench where you can sit down and eat your lunch. It's a bench where you can make friends. Have you been?
The idea is simple. If a child is sitting alone, that's when a classmate should go ask them to play.
It's not fun to have no one to play with, so I just go over and ask them if they want to play with me.
It's just what Carson Harrison needed.
I felt pretty upset.
He went to the Buddy Bench when he was feeling left out.
And then another group came over and asked if I wanted to play with them.
Finding a friendly face or that shoulder to lean on can be hard, which explains why nearly 2,000 Buddy Benches have popped up across the country, many of them implemented by students themselves.
Everybody deserves to have a friend.
Everybody.
Everybody.
The lesson here, written on the Buddy Bench at Gabrielle's school, a friend is only a seat away. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, Harrisonville, Missouri.
Hey, NBC News fans.
So as you can imagine, through our students' research, they became very passionate about having buddy benches at their schools and on their playgrounds. So through their advocacy, they met with Principal Jeff and myself, and we listened to their presentations, and then we determined that it would be great to get them in front of the Bensenville Foundation to advocate for something that they really felt was important for their schools. So as you can see here, there's a picture of the students and the teachers. They came before the Bensenville Foundation. They provided their research and the numbers and the cost for what they would need for their benches. And as you can imagine, unanimously, the Bensenville Foundation approved their request for a buddy bench at each one of our playgrounds. So we're currently in the process of ordering the benches. There'll be one at each playground. The first has the sign, a friend is only a seat away, and the other bench has the logo of learning together, learning and growing together on the bench. So I'm really proud of the advocacy work that they did. I'm even prouder of the legacy that they're going to leave behind for all the students after them, and the work that they put forward and the passion that they showed for something they really thought was important.
That's awesome.
Yeah, super exciting.
Yeah.
And the grants that the Bensenville community does are typically $500, but as Katie said, when you have these guys presenting, and they presented
Oh,
their
yeah.
own presentation and they made their own PowerPoint, Google Slides presentation. So it was like, you know, how do you say, hey, we can $500?
Good negotiators.
Oh, for sure, so.
I need them to go do a contract.
When they got in the room.
Yes.
That's
And,
awesome.
yeah, so it was great, so proud of the third grade teachers who really entertained them and championed them and allowed them to, you know, kind of empower them to speak. Because it's not easy speaking in front of adults
No.
and presenting, but they did a really good job.
That's really cool.
So once they're installed, we're going to do a ribbon cutting where
Oh.
the board will be invited, the parents and the students will be invited to unveil our new buddy benches.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on. BMS construction update, Mr. Novak.
Yes, on the agenda later tonight, there are 5 more contracts presented for approval, and once we get through that, then we'll have finished all the major contracts for the project. So that's very good. We have some small contracts left to take care of, like, you know, getting burglar alarms on the new doors and stuff like that, but those are very small. And we'll work with our existing contractors on those. So work will begin during spring break. Pretty soon we'll have to start making plans for moving and storage, because a lot of stuff's got to get removed from those classrooms before work can begin. I've already had a first conversation with the principal about how to explain stuff to the staff. So we'll get all that going. So it's very exciting. We're on our way.
You're gonna throw units on the playground?
Probably gonna have to. There won't be enough room inside the building, I don't think, to store
Get those
everything.
storage units.
Yeah.
Can you interrupt to ask a rather random question? What are the storage containers that are already in the parking lot full of?
Those are getting cleaned out as we speak. A large majority of it is already.
Yeah, we've actually gotten rid of most of them. You know, when COVID began, a lot of stuff got pulled out of classrooms. And
Because
so
you had to have the 3 feet.
we've tried hard
I
to
just
get,
always have wondered, you know?
some of it would belong to teachers, and so we tried to track them down and say, look, you gotta take this home now, it was yours all along anyway. Some of it is furniture that we just didn't have any use for, some of it was carpets that we didn't really wanna put back in classrooms after 2 years in
Okay,
the
I'm
storage
just
container.
curious, yeah.
so.
You've gone this long without it.
Yeah, you don't need it out.
We're getting to that point now.
I mean, we sent messages out to the staff explaining what was in there. We had photographs that we posted saying, you know, this stuff is here if somebody needs it.
Yeah, you
yard
want it?
sale.
Basically where we're at.
Anyway, yeah, I don't really care, I was just actually
Yeah.
just nosy and curious, yeah.
I saw you creeping around over there.
What? I wasn't creeping around in those.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Novak? Nothing? Okay, Founders Award committee.
So I just wanted to bring this to the board's attention. The Founders Award is a special award given by the board to someone for their timeless contribution to the schools that enhances educational quality. The last time the award was given by the board was in 2022, and it was given to the nurses for the work that they did throughout COVID. Honorees can only receive the award once, so the board, if the board has a nominee, please let Bob know so that we can work through that process. You do have a packet in front of you that lists the people that have already obtained the award.
When are we doing this?
We can do it whenever, but we just need a nominee if the board has one.
Do we just write it down? Do we tell you what we do?
And you can just let Bob know if you have an idea.
Throw
and
them in
then-
there, talk to them.
There's the second page of the criteria
On
has
the
a
back?
rationale.
Oh, if you wanted to fill that out.
Okay, any other questions on that? Five essentials reminder.
Sure, this is just a quick reminder for the board and for the community that the 5 Essential Survey has opened. It will be open until March 29th. We're asking that every family that receives the survey to please fill it out. We do use that information to make informed decisions and to move our improvements forward across the district.
Any questions on that? Hopefully we'll get some good results on that. Hearing none, we'll go on to G, convert Tioga Innovation Lab to classroom spaces.
Sure, due to the limited space at Tioga, we had to utilize the innovation labs upstairs as classroom spaces for our ACE classrooms this year. Based on observations and feedback from both staff and from families and students, we found that we do have a need to convert those spaces to 2 permanent classroom spaces for next year. The cost of this conversion does fit within our current budget. I don't know, Paul, do you have anything else you want to share about that?
Just that we have up there right now some temporary walls that are only about 6 feet high. It provides a little eye privacy, but no real soundproofing. So, we're gonna remove those, put in a real wall, put in cubbies like all the other classrooms have, doors. And then there's some rework we have to do with the sound system, light fixtures. So it's not a small job. But they'll be very, very nice spaces like any regular classroom, except a little bigger. So we're very, very excited to get that going.
Okay, anything else?
I'm sorry, where was this at?
Tioga.
Oh, okay.
Both schools have an innovation lab. Johnson's is using theirs for other things, but Tioga is using it for these 2 classes. It's not the same students that are there from 9 until 3, so the burden is shared by whoever comes in during that hour for the special to visit, but it's quite noisy compared to regular
How
space.
times change. When we built those schools, we were full of innovation labs. Now we're getting rid of them.
Yeah, so my children go to Tioga and I've been in those spaces. It's hard to have a class in there when you have it's I think 8 to 10 kids at a time per grade for ACE, ELA, and math. And if you've got kids going up and down the hallway, kids are easily distracted in the elementary age. So I really appreciate you taking that into consideration. I think it'll be really good for the children and for the teachers as well. So thank you.
Paul, did you say where the funding was coming from for that? I'm sorry, I missed.
We'll be able to fit it into next year's budget. It's just a one-time expenditure.
Okay.
The Blackhawk renovation's coming in well underneath the budget, so there's plenty of room there, basically. It's
Perfect.
shifting the construction from one place to another.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, moving on, consent agenda. Is there any?
We have one more, the psychologist internship.
Not on my thing. Is that you?
Yeah, well, I have the print. I'm looking at the digital copy.
What is it?
It's right there, H on the screen.
Yeah, it's in
Bob.
there.
Oh.
That one.
Right in front of you.
It's not on here.
Bob, it's right in front of you.
You want me to see that bar? Seriously?
Okay, Bob, I got it.
You
got
get it. Jesus, I can't read that.
So as the board knows, we have had a difficulty time hiring psychologists. And we have a really unique opportunity to engage in an internship program that will allow us to kind of create our own pipeline for psychologists. So Paul, do you want to just add some more details?
Yeah, the internship is a year long, so it's longer than a student teaching position, but it's kind of the same idea. This is a program that students have to go through before they can finish their degree. And we've had student teachers in the district for a long time, so this is really just adapting that same principle. It's an entire year program. Several other districts in the Chicagoland area do this. It is very difficult to find licensed school psychologists to hire, and we've not been able to meet our hiring quota for I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 years now, so we end up having to hire outside services. And they're great people, but they cost a lot more. And they don't know our school district the same way as somebody who comes here and works here for several years. So we're really excited about being able to help students finish their own requirements while still introducing them to what we think is a great place to work. There'll be a stipend of about $15,000, which for a whole year's work is not actually that much money. Because they're not really employees, they're still interns. But that's the going rate basically in the Chicagoland area for a similar position.
So the hope is that will reduce the contract services that we need. It'll create a pipeline into the school district from our psychologists and really kind of boost our recruitment efforts.
Is this
Yes,
only
sir.
for one, or is it multiple individuals that would be in the internship role?
I think it depends on what we need. I mean, we can have more than one.
Yeah, I don't know, could we support more than one, do you think? And you have to have a staff person to supervise them,
Right,
that's part of it.
That was my question, who's the
Our
super?
current staffing at this point allows us to have one intern.
Okay.
Hopefully, we can build on that program and be able to have it as a self-sufficient, like Dr. Plessy mentioned, that pipeline of having people who are well aware of our district and learning our process and procedures, learning our community, so, but at the moment, it's one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's great. I think it's a super creative way to do that, so I'm glad we're looking into that.
I have a question about that. Like, so is the idea to like, just do it until we can fill the positions, or just always have an intern? Or both?
Well, I mean, right now, we're doing it to fulfill a need.
Yeah.
So we're looking at one a year until we can fulfill our need, and then I think we would reevaluate and determine, you know, what we
Maybe we
what we
bring
need.
people in and they wanna stay.
Yeah.
That's the
Right.
idea.
That's the idea, so,
I think obviously one FTE is better than an intern, that
Right.
doesn't have
Yes.
their commitment. Right. But I think this is a good. Right.
So it's something we'll have to keep, you know, reevaluating as we go along, because if we don't have a need for them,
yeah.
then we don't have a placement for them. And then it kind of defeats the purpose of us paying to have
Yeah.
an intern, so, but it's something that we're looking at each year until we can at least fill our positions and then reevaluate them.
Yeah. Do they have to interview for that position, or how does the
They
internship?
do, so it would be a posted position where they would interview in order for them to both meet the criteria that we have within our district, but also that we can satisfy the requirements that they have to complete graduation.
Do you get to interview them?
I sure do,
Okay,
yes.
that's, I'm
Yes.
fine then.
You and,
I just making sure that everything's okay.
now do we currently have a psychologist on staff or no?
We do have one psychologist full-time on staff.
And they will be a part of
Would
the
be
interview
part of the
process?
oversight, yes.
In the interview process as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Not likely the first round, but we do bring in our after screeners and going through that. Our interns are able to provide a value on their own because everything that they're doing also is over and supervised by that clinical, or by that school psychologist. So it does provide us a value, that position does provide us a value within our schools. We obviously would love to be able to find the right person who could take that internship, transfer it for the better of themselves, mutually beneficial for us, and work towards that full-time FTE position that we're currently covering.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on that? Okay, moving on to consent agenda items now. Does anybody have any questions on the consent agenda items or want anything removed from that? Hearing none, could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Miller?
Aye.
Mrs. Dye?
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Laudadio?
Aye.
Mrs. Leyva?
Aye.
Ms. Parthamos?
Aye.
Mr. Stoltman?
Okay, conference action items, abate taxes for alternate revenue bonds.
Yes, this is something that we present to the board every year. Abate is the school code word for cancel or do not levy. So those are good words to have when you can. These are bonds that we pay for from operating revenue. If for some reason operating revenue fell short, we could assess a tax to fill in the gap. We've never done that. We don't expect to have to do it. It's just out there to make the bondholders more comfortable having purchased that bond in the first place. So each year, we present you with this request to cancel the tax that would otherwise be levied.
Any questions from the board? Hearing no questions, could I get a motion for the Board of Education to adopt the attached resolution abating all 2023 taxes collected in 2024, previous levied for these bonds, series 2016 and 2020?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Dye?
Aye.
Mr. Stoltman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Ms. Parthamos?
Aye.
Mr. Laudadio?
Aye.
Mrs. Miller?
Aye.
Mrs. Leva?
Aye.
Okay, second reading, adopt the policy of policy provisions 2-220, 5-125, 6-235. You got any questions on the motion to approve, or anything you want to say to approve revised policy 2-220, school board meeting procedures?
I do. I'd like to continue our streaming with our community being predominantly low income. That comes with a lot of disabilities, a lot of no vehicles that come to the meetings, and this just increases our reach outside to the public. So I agree with all other policy changes, just I would like to continue the streaming.
Any other questions? Hearing none, do I get a motion to approve revised policy 2-220, school board meeting procedures?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Dye?
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Ms. Parthamos?
Aye.
Mrs. Miller?
Aye.
Mrs. Leva?
Aye.
Mr. Stoltman?
No.
Mr. Laudadio?
Aye. Okay, anything on the other one? Motion to approve revised policy 5-125, personal technology and social media. And we'll lump that in with usage and conduct, and 6-235, access to electronic networks. Anything on those?
I had a question about one of them. I think you probably talked about it last time, I wasn't here. So, I just had a question about one regarding the usage of YouTube. Because I feel like there's a lot of teachers that create content on YouTube for their classes. And then also like they use YouTube to show stuff to their students on YouTube. I just was wondering like, because it says that it should be limited. I'm not sure if I'm reading it right. So I just thought I wanted to ask about it and see if I'm reading it incorrectly. This is for usage. Just don't know if like I'm misunderstanding what. That's okay to use, right? For teachers to use YouTube in their classrooms
I
and
think it's more
whatnot.
about how they utilize it in the conduct while
The
utilizing it.
appropriateness.
So they're not
That
saying
they're
they can't
utilizing
use
for
it.
educational purposes.
Right.
Okay. So the idea is that you just wouldn't want anyone to use YouTube on their personal time to make content that is inappropriate?
For non-educational reasons.
Right, they wouldn't be showing YouTube videos or anything of an inappropriate nature to students.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would hope not. Okay. I just want to make sure I understood, like, what it was saying. It seems like a lot of words to say don't show inappropriate things.
Like you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know about that.
We just talked about that. Okay, can I get a motion to approve revised policy 5-125, personal technology and social media usage and conduct?
Motion.
And 6-235, access to electronic networks. That's okay, go ahead.
Motion.
Okay,
Second.
okay, roll call.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mrs. Leva?
Aye.
Ms. Parthamos?
Aye.
Mrs. Miller?
Aye.
Mrs. Dye?
Aye.
Mr. Stoltman?
Aye.
Mr. Laudadio?
Aye. Okay, transfer 2023 working cash bond proceeds to capital projects fund. Any questions on that? It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
This is a step that we contemplated when we issued the bonds. When the bonds are first issued, they have to start out being deposited in the working cash fund. But that's a temporary home because we don't spend any money from the working cash fund, and so we're moving them, proposing to move them to the capital projects fund so we can spend it on the Blackhawk renovation.
Any questions on this? Hearing none. Do I get a motion to adopt the attached resolution to pay $5,001,177.31 from the working cash fund to the capital projects fund?
Motion.
Second.
Roll.
Mrs. Dye?
Aye.
Ms. Parthamos?
Aye.
Mr. Stoltman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mrs. Miller?
Aye.
Mrs. Leyva?
Aye.
Mr. Laudadio?
Aye. Okay, award contracts for BMS renovations. Mr. Novak, you got anything on that?
I'm happy to answer any questions. There's a lot of detail there about the 5 contracts that we're looking at here. But they're all coming in to do the work that we designed and requested. So just like last month, these are all things that we're comfortable recommending to you that you award.
Paul, could I do these all in one?
Yes,
Just
you
mention them
could.
all, do it in one. Okay, any questions on that, guys? Hearing none. Do I get a motion for the Board of Education to ratify the contracts awarded to Bensenville Construction and RHL Enterprises to authorize administration to award to Asher Brothers the base bid and alternate 1 for painting. Authorize administration to award the flooring contract to Michael Kutz Carpets and Designs for $317,145 and to award electrical contract to Gertz Electric for $1,214,779. And then approve the change order to the flooring contract as in the district's best interest and as germane to the original contract, and to approve the change order to the electrical contract as in the district's best interest and as germane to the original contract. And can we get this any bigger next time?
Motion. It's a big project. What can I tell you?
I got one motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Stoltman?
Aye.
Mrs. Miller?
Aye.
Mrs. Dye?
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mrs. Parthamos?
Aye.
Ms. Leyva?
Aye.
Mr. Laudadio?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any new business? No new business? We're gonna have a closed session, everybody. We need to have a closed session. Oh, we're gonna go to closed session for personnel, appointment, employment, compensation, and performance of specific employees. And to discuss other subjects permitted under the Opens Meeting Act.
So you're gonna ask for a motion for that?
Yeah. No, let's go wait, people leave. Could I have a motion to go into closed session?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Stoltman?
Aye.
Mrs. Leyva?
Aye.
Mrs. Dye?
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Laudadio?
Aye.
Mrs. Miller?
Aye.
Ms. Parthamos?
Aye.